hours. They're more student. So, yeah. So you need it. You got big mouth shoulders. So just.
Is everybody cozy? Cozier than you wanted today, maybe? Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Should be joining online.
Okay, so we actually have the room here. We actually have the room there.
Yeah.
I think maybe it is. Okay, why don't you call this meeting to order? Thank you all for coming. Whatever reason it is, and we would like to stand and do the pledge of allegiance. I believe it is to the flag. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second. I have a motion from Shannon in the second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Now, we're going to have public comment, and I'm assuming that's why we have so many faces. I do need to read a statement for you in advance, if you don't mind. Bear with me while the board welcomes public input. We ask that you model the behavior that we hope you allow our students to do, things that we would expect from them. We encourage speakers to consider their words carefully and refrain from personally directed, discriminatory, abusive, or obscene language, or complaints regarding any individual staff member or student. The board president may interrupt and or terminate the individual statement if the allotted time of 3 minutes has expired, or if student privacy is violated. Public comment period is not a time for dialogue between you and us. This is a board meeting. We want to hear your input, but we cannot respond to you. Now, you can come to Nick or myself, or any of us actually. I've got business cards I can give you. You can take and contact us after the meeting or tomorrow or whenever. But we can't dialogue back and forth. It is a meeting, a structured meeting. To align the Open Public Meeting Act, the board will not respond. Statements, questions, or challenges made during the comment. There will be no back and forth dialogue. Please know that the board silence is neutral and signified for listening. So the first, I think it will list.
John Odell.
John Odell.
Yes.
Would you like to go first?
Okay.
You're the first one to sign.
I'll be brief. I understand that Dan Couture has a proposal to provide additional security in the school. I just want to say I support that. I'm not in the school, but I see when I'm in court protection order cases and other cases, and I think having a swift, sure response to discipline problems is the best. Thank
you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Next one is Kaya Brenner.
She probably stand in front of the
However you want. You think you want to try that one?
And there's a microphone up there. You need it.
You want to try to come back here? You want to take them back? Sure.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Kai Brenner. I'm a I'm a first grader from Pioneer. I think our schools are really safe and secure. I have ADHD, and I think um all the teachers and the principals are very nice. And that's all.
Good job. Really great job.
My name is Megan Higgins. I am the parent of a first grader at Pioneer, and I'm here to talk with you about my experience with Pioneer and school safety. I was a public school educator for 14 years, and I was a secondary classroom teacher. In my 13th year of teaching at a school in Northern Nevada, there was a shooting at the school. Two of our students were injured by gunfire. One of our teachers was killed, and the perpetrator, a 12-year-old student, died by suicide on the scene. I'm sure it's understandable that not too long after that, I decided to take a break from public education. And I really never thought I would set foot back inside a classroom as a full-time educator. Fast forward 5 years, and I have a daughter who's entering kindergarten in Quincy, Washington. And I was very hesitant to send her to school. I was terrified. I didn't have to close my eyes and envision what could happen because I've seen what can happen right outside of my classroom windows. I sat down with the principal before school started, and it really gave me a lot of peace of mind. But because she was able to answer all of my questions about school safety and reassure me that the school was as safe as it could possibly be, and that they ran their drills, that they didn't terrify students with those drills. And so, with a lot of hesitancy, we sent our daughter to school. And I would sit home wringing my hands, thinking every siren was something horrible, something devastating, something traumatic. But thankfully, none of that happened. I was a volunteer at Pioneer from the get-go last year. I wanted to be on campus as much as possible. And every single time I went to that campus, I had to go through the single point of entry at the school. The exterior doors were locked, and any safety concern that I ever had was addressed immediately. I saw people outside the school, I think they were painters, but I was like, there's some people at the end there. And I saw Miss Porter right down there checking it out. So I felt much more confident. I started subbing there as a para and a teacher, and that helped build my confidence even more. And I just really appreciate the staff at Pioneer for making the students feel safe. I never thought I was going to step foot in the classroom as a full-time public educator. But in January, I took a job at Pioneer as a resource room para, and now I really get to see it from the inside out. I feel super confident with the school safety. I can only speak to the school safety at Pioneer, but every concern is immediately addressed, and I do not feel threatened at that school at all. And from the experience I had, I feel like it should hold a lot of weight that, like, I've been through it. I went through it. I saw my colleague dead outside of my classroom. But I've been able to go back inside despite the PTSD and work and be with kids and be back in the school. And I really think that the district and particularly Pioneer have done a great job keeping us safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Israel.
Hello, my name is Israel Brenner. I have a young child in this school district, and I'm very uncomfortable with armed private security blocking a child's school campus. First off, the DOG did a study that they posted in 2021, 133 cumulative 12th grade school shootings from 1980 to 2019 that found that armed security on school campuses did not deter school shootings. In fact, the death rate was 2.83 times greater in schools with armed security. The 2.83 times greater death makes me very uncomfortable. Next, while doing research on this, I found an article in Source One about an ex-deputy turned protection specialist here in Quincy who said, law enforcement is very restricted in what they can do, especially with juveniles. Private security can operate under reasonable suspicion without meeting the standards probable cause. Law enforcement has to provide an attorney to juveniles before they can even talk to them in many circumstances. As someone who grew up taller, bigger, and darker than most, and with ADHD, I was labeled the bad kid and was harassed constantly by security at school. I just see this hurting, traumatizing the kids that are like I was. I see no benefits for having armed security in our schools. I only see problems.
Thank you.
Justin.
Justin?
Am I good back here?
Your voice is good.
First of all, I just want to make it clear, I'm not here as a representative of the city or city council, so just John Q. Public. I was hoping to come in and hear the proposal that Danny was going to bring to the board. My disappointment is that he was taken off the docket. I mean, so we can at least hear what his proposals are, take a look at it, and see which direction we want to go. It gives us a choice if he presents something. If we never hear it, we don't get a choice of the direction we want to go. I mean, you guys were make those decisions just like some of us do for other things, but at least listen to him and see what his proposal is and whatever direction you go. At least you have the information. If you never hear from him, we don't know what the information is and what's going on. I know that right now we're down one SRO, because the police department's kind of in a little bit of a lurch right now. And we don't know what's going to happen as far as down the road on that. But at least listen to him and see what he has to say, because it doesn't hurt. If you say no, that's a decision that you guys make as a board. If you decide to go in that direction, that's fine too. But at least you took the opportunity to listen. And that's what the board is supposed to do, is listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori White.
Hi, my name is Lori White, and I am a parasub in the Quincy School District. I have parasub in 4 of the 5 elementary schools and the middle school. I feel safe, and I want to say that I feel that all of the staff are ever vigilant, ever disciplined as to the care and concern and safety of these children that we educate on a daily basis. It's something that is talked about within the school all the time. I feel that there is a risk assessment committee or team that the district has, and that it would be prudent to have them always be the ones who look at risk assessment as they have in the past and make advisory as to how we move forward in whatever way, shape, or form that might be. My only concern when I look and when I work in the buildings is what can be upgraded as far as building, not throwing more people at the situation, but looking at maybe parameters, children on playgrounds, where wooded areas come right up to playground fences, things like this, physical deterrent to entry into the school. But I want to say that I do think the schools are very safe and the staff works very, very hard and feels very responsible for the children in this district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy Lambert.
Hi, my name is Troy Lambert. I live here in the Quincy community. I would have also liked to have heard Mr. Couture's proposal for security in the schools. I do believe there's an issue there that's not being addressed, or it is being overlooked, or the leadership at this level is not getting that information, which means somewhere along the line, our children have been failed. And I'm glad to see that we have a majority of the school board members that are new, that came through on the new election process. I think the days of the tail wagging the dog need to be over. I've been trying to get change to be effective within the school system here. I am been told that there isn't a problem. Then I talk to teachers and there are problems. Whether it's making it here, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what that process is, but it's not. Because if it was, I think the board would be appalled. I think Mr. Garza, Dr. Bergman would be appalled at what's going on there. And I think we need to change that. I don't know what the solution is, but I think that we need to get somebody in there that can do the job. I know that the police can go in there, they can roam the hallways, they can say, hey, how's it going, or whatever. But they can't really do anything else unless something is brought to them by a board member or a faculty member, I should say. And that needs to change. The system is broken. And we need to fix it, and it's up to us. This is our future. We need to do something about it. I'd like to see something be done about it, pretty worked out. Tired of being told one thing and then hearing completely different stories as the teachers within the school system. That's great. I'm glad there are people that feel like their kids are safe when they go to school. I don't. I served in the United States Army. I know what it looks like. I know what war looks like. I know what sort of heck that people can be put through, and I know the evil that men can do. I have seen it firsthand. We need to do something. We are broken. And I would love to help. I don't know how, but I will. This is my start. And I'd like to see everybody else get as passionate about it as I am and that others are about. Once again, I thank you guys. I don't have anything really positive to say at this point, so I think I should probably keep my mouth shut. But thank you for your time. And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service.
I'm Dan Couture, and I want to address basically the people that attended tonight along with the board. Fortunately, I had an opportunity to speak with board members and Mr. Bergman or Dr. Bergman and Mr. Garza, and I can tell you right now that security is actually being looked at. Okay, I was involved in that meeting today. They are looking at it. They are looking at how to address it appropriately with the funding. It's going to come basically, ladies and gentlemen, they are taking it seriously. So they had an opportunity with myself as a representative of the board, Mr. Brian Keats, the commissioner of the board, to address the issues, some of their concerns, and to work through the process. But we had two board members that were there. Obviously, they couldn't have a quorum. An opportunity for them to address some of these issues, and I felt very good and confident in what they were looking at doing. As I believe my counterpart, my boss, Mr. Keys, who's in the meetings tonight, who attended that meeting. I think there was some good communication. Nothing happens in government overnight. Anybody who's involved in government should know that, right? The school board in the school district is part of government. Mr. Spence can probably attest to this. So what I want to tell you is that given the opportunity and the resources that are now becoming available within the community of Quincy, working in partnership with the city of Quincy, the Quincy Police Department and the school district, I think we can have a positive impact in this direction. Thanks.
Thank you. That's it. We have the agenda. Does anybody have any questions about the items listed on the consent agenda? In public records, I noticed that we had a video that was a request. A video student that was late, like 4 months? Is that normal?
It can be, depending on how much we have to filter out other student images. And then it can be dependent on what else is in the request. So Sean generally handles that, but it all really depends on, it can take some time.
The same then with former employees?
That depending on the nature of the request it can be 4 to 6 months, depending on if in that particular PRA request had how many different asks, Sean? About 14 different other
Well, yeah,
asks.
there's 14 parts of
So
it.
within the one request, there's 14 different requests.
Uh-huh.
So we fulfill, some of them we can fulfill within a week. Others take a lot longer.
Well, that's why I asked,
But
because
yeah.
there was a couple that
Yeah.
took less than 2 days.
Yeah, it all depends on the nature of it.
There's such a-
Mhm. Yeah.
And then I noticed that the CDB ACH, there was a settlement of what was that all in right.
Can speak to that. That is actually where our money for payroll goes, and then
And then
county
John,
draws out of it.
I
Yes.
see.
Like that. The mood lighting was coming. The soft music to come on. Red sticks to come out. I know. Sorry.
Then the ASB fund, that always starts in the negative.
Oh, yeah.
How is that?
So ASP reports negative means positive, positive means negative.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure why, but that's how we
I
decided
thought
to.
Yeah.
it's gotta be something simple.
Yeah,
but I
at the
had no
building,
clue.
it is not simple because you're trained at exact, in basic math, a negative is not a good thing. But in ASP
Yeah.
reports, negative is a good
It's a great thing.
I thought,
Yes.
well, they're just really gonna go back.
thing. The more negatives, the better on ASP reports.
We like negative.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify.
Really,
So,
really good questions.
okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda?
Consent.
I move to adopt the consent agenda.
Okay. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Now we'll move on to the minutes. Oh, no, that's right. I can't do that. Sorry, guys, I am learning a bit. Wow. Okay. We have a report from Allison Gately on social studies and science. And
Do you want the clicker? You guys, we'll attempt it. I have 50-50.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, good evening. My name is Allison Gately. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning. It's an honor to be speaking in front of the board tonight. I'm so glad that so many people came to see the presentation. Yes.
Give me 1 second. Sorry.
So I'm here tonight to represent a lot of work that's been happening across the district in science and social studies adoption. And I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about what our implementation has looked like. Let's see if it works. Can I? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
So as a review, I've been to the school board several times over the last couple of years to give updates on the science and social studies adoption, but for the benefit of our new board members, just a quick review of a bit of the process and who was involved. So we had 5 different committee teams working on the science and social studies adoption. It was a K-12 effort, and we'll talk a little bit more about what those teams were. 43 teachers were active in evaluating the programs. We had 6 very active administrators on the committee. I see probably 3 of them tonight who really, actually, they're worth calling out. Felicia Becker at the high school really supported the science adoption and has been key clutch for implementation as well. Elizabeth Averill, social studies at the high school, Scott Ramsey, social studies at the middle school. Can't say enough about how important it is to have administrators in the process of not only selecting, but implementation. We looked at 33 programs to evaluate. And then we heard directly from 10 vendors that made our top tier of programs that gave us full presentations for us to consider. Early in the process, we interviewed 12 families from the community to ask what they would like to see in the science and social studies curriculum. And we interviewed 26 students directly across K-12. 100% of our families had access to view and provide feedback of around the finalist curriculum at the spring parent conferences last year. So to give an idea of the timeline, we actually started this process in the fall of 2021. It was quite a serious process. We started with our social studies, and we began by looking at identifying parameters, what we really needed to explore. And then we moved into phase 2 of analyzing our existing course design and seeing what changes, if any, needed to be made. There were quite a few programs that have been many years since they've been reviewed. So it was very evident to our committees that we needed to review and select instructional materials, which was phase 3. And then phase 4, we're going to talk about implementation here. For K-12, social studies, that includes all K-5 students and classroom teachers. At the middle school, we reviewed world history, Washington State, Pacific Northwest history, and U.S. history. And at the high school, we reviewed world history, civics, and U.S. history. And science, we started that in the spring of 2022. And we went through the same process of the phases. Again, all of our K-5 are impacted by new science curriculum. We had integrated at the middle school, integrated by the different domains of science in 6th grade science, 7th grade science, 8th grade science. And at the high school, we reviewed programs for 9th grade science and decided to land on environmental science for 9th grade, 10th grade biology, 11th grade, well, chemistry next, and then physics next. So that gives you an idea of just the huge scope of the work. So we ended up, and this was school board approved curriculum with these programs at the high school. There's SAVIS, and I've got some paper copies tonight to review if you'd like to see what it actually looks like for the students. And then at the middle school, we have a program called Open SciEd, K-5, a program through Discovery Ed that's called Mystery Science. And social studies at the high school, we had Discovery Ed Textbook. We adopted that. Middle school also adopted Discovery Ed Textbook for 6th and 8th grade. And then at 7th grade, it's very specialized to Pacific Northwest history. And so that active classroom has something very specific for Washington State history. And then K-5, we selected Young Citizens. All of the social studies programs, the teams needed to integrate as part of state law. So it's time and memorial curriculum, which is tribal and government and history. So we're currently in phase 4 of implementing the curriculum that was the school board adopted. And phase 4, what we're really looking at is professional learning. And then as we're thinking about what impacts to teaching and learning are we seeing in a positive way? And then do we see evidence of student achievement? So we're reviewing that. As part of professional learning, these are the district coordinated professional learning opportunities that we engaged quite a few vendors and very nifty to give professional learning on the program. That was the starting spot, and the last one that we had was as recent as February 8th. But it gives you an idea that this is quite the effort to give an initial professional learning for each of the teams. But in addition, the more important professional learning really is what the teams are doing when they're looking at their curriculum and deciding which parts to prioritize. So as part of the process, we looked at our Quincy strategic plan, And we also looked at the data from our family and student empathy interviews. And the team decided on priorities for our program. This is both in science and social studies. We really wanted authentic community and real world connections. We really want to prioritize discourse, so that high level of discussion among students. We identified that we really needed a program that could help support scaffolding and differentiation for students. So supporting with a variety of student needs. And then really supporting student agency. So what does it look like for voice and choice and having student self-assessment? And then really thinking about culturally responsive practices. We wanted definitely diverse perspectives. And we heard those little bubbles or quotes directly from our students echoing those priorities. So I wanted to give you just a few snapshots if you were walking around Quincy in our schools, what you might see with science and social studies implementation this year. These all came from this year. Starting with science, this is actually from a kindergarten classroom. The wings and nods of recognition here. So the picture on the left is actually students have made their own windmills, and they were testing wind, you can see with their own force. And they are actually studying weather patterns, and so that was the connection there. And then on the right hand side, you can see they actually were making birds' nests. They were studying different seasons and the importance of protecting birds. So they each built a little bird's nest. So you can see that the kids are really doing hands-on activities to make this science come alive. By the time you get to the middle school, this is a kind of a collage. I was just in a classroom this morning. Someone was on our wall. The middle school science curriculum is very much based in student inquiry, and it's around an essential question that is phenomenon based. And so right now they're studying how do containers keep things warm or not? And so they have lots of different models that they're building. It's really a design challenge for the students. So they're interacting and making different types of cups and designing them and then testing different elements to answer this question. You can see on the left below is some thinking about models from the students. And we have a lot of resources from our curriculum that the teachers are using for self-assessment and assessment, and just to scaffold the learning for the students. This is an example from our high school. Thank you to our instructional coach at the high school, Susan Rose, for snapping some pictures this morning of this. This is actually a word wall. You can see it's much more sophisticated by the time they get to high school, and the models are much more sophisticated. So these are two student models, and they're studying in biology neurons and how they function, and then linking it back to real world. The social studies, this is one of my favorite stories across the district and what we're doing. We're taking in elementary school each unit of study for ELA, because that was adopted actually 2 years ago. And we're, because of time restrictions, we didn't have time to do science and social studies at the same time. So the committee and our content leads have determined for each ELA unit, is it going to be a science focus or a social studies focus? This happens to be from 3rd grade. They were studying how to write a narrative, a fictional piece, and that Lena, Pioneer Girl, it's actually based on a story they read in class, which was published from the Quincy Valley Historical Society. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did is anything that was related to our community and cherished, and that we kept into our pacing. And we built that in intentionally. So there's a Quincy My Home that Valley Historical Society has a really beautiful kit that gets to all of the classrooms. They're big classrooms, and then they have some great reading that goes with that. The team looked at where does this fit within our social studies curriculum and the topics, as well as our ELA, and connected it back. And what the students ended up doing was writing their own fictional account of what it would be like to live here in Quincy back in the pioneer days. And one of the really amazing things that they got to do is a field trip at the Ryman Simmons home and museum where they got to experience lots of different things from the pioneer days. So here, this is the apple press, but they also got to churn butter, and there were many other different activities. So they were going into it. The teacher I was here this day and I took this picture. She said she had pre-taught, think about the experiences of what it would be like, the sounds, the smells, and have that really punctuate your writing. So it's really cool to see the teachers connect ELA and in this case, social science and our community. By the time, this is middle school, again, what's up on the walls right now in one of our middle school classrooms, they are doing an amazing job at looking at argumentative writing in social studies. And what they've done is they've had their ELA department focus on narrative and informational, and then their social studies department really focus on argumentative writing and gone really deep with the content of their social studies and use great AVID strategies about marking the text, note taking, and then writing. And then students are self-assessing their writing. So really great example of student self-assessment. And then I love this picture. This is so amazing. All the others were collages. This is one picture, again, snapped this morning, on the wall at a social studies classroom at the high school. Amazing. This is all student work of the learning that they've done this year through the adopted curriculum. And you can see a variety of thinking on the walls. And students are referring to those continually and adding to it as they're working through historical timelines. But it's really exciting to see the students really interacting with the content. So ongoing and next steps, we've been doing some implementation walks, observing curriculum use in classrooms and in planning and teams. I started with secondary, partnering with the administrators to do that. And by the end of the year, I'll get to all of the schools. And then from that information, really planning what's the next step for professional learning based on the needs. What I'd like everyone to do in the spring is really reflect and adjust on what their team decisions and commitments have been around the standards that they addressed this year, and think about how do we refine our common assessments and in our grade level professional learning teams for next year. So that is the work ahead. Again, want to thank all the teachers. It's been a huge amount of effort on the teachers' parts to learn the curriculum this year. And then really the collaboration has been what's really key in the teams to determine what's a priority and how do we then give feedback to students and make it the most rigorous and relevant learning. And thank you again to our administrators who've been, I couldn't do the work without the administrators supporting the teams as well.
I thank you. It's very impressive, the hours.
Yeah, Allison, I just want to reiterate what you said. Having seen this from the very beginning, when we first started talking during pandemic, about having this big heavy lift just for all of you who had a part in it. Really appreciative. This is the community's opportunity to look at what our students are learning and how it aligns with the learning standards. And I'm so impressed with how you wrapped in the Ryman Simmons House curriculum. I was not aware of that piece, and it's just great for our students here in Quincy to understand their heritage. So thanks to everyone for all the work.
I'd like to also ask, would you guys like to add anything? I mean, you are involved in it, obviously.
Yeah. I really like the order of the science classes because I remember my freshman year, I started off with physics and it was online too. COVID and online. But I like that we're starting off with environmental science and then it progresses to like biology. I think it's just like, it gets you ready for the next step. That sounds good.
Yeah, I think like during COVID, I guess, a lot of kids, when they came back to school, they were like not motivated or not really ready to get back in society. So I think it's really amazing how you guys did it. Like in the photos, a lot more kids seem more into like motivated, more into depth, having fun rather than just being forced to like do an assignment and skip bored.
Yeah.
I think it really helps kids like get out there more and like get them more ready for school, make them more excited, I guess.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, I'm a U.S. history major, and when like freshman year of high school, when I came in, and the first thing I was presented with was a writing assignment, and I told my history teacher, said, "Well, no, this isn't history. This isn't writing. History is memorizing dates and names." She said, "No, historians write. Historians write. Historians think. Historians take information, make sense of it, and write." And it was so encouraging this year when my 8th grade son came in, writing an argumentative essay against electoral college and point counterpoint with citations. So it was really great just to see that level of writing. I have not seen that as a parent, but just seeing that and happening in history, it's really impressive that what our 8th graders are producing too. So I've experienced it professionally, seen it, but then also personally, it just would not have happened without this comprehensive approach to adopting a curriculum that meets the needs of every single one of our learners in our community. And it also would not have that leadership. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
And I apologize, I should have started and ended. I wouldn't be able to do any of this work without the instructional coaches who support implementation with the teams and create the backward maps and really support with, lots of different tasks that, why you're able to see all that really great work. So thank you.
Making historians.
Making historians and scientists. That's what we want.
Scientists.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, the policy review and
Will
adopt.
be a superintendent report.
Oh, we do? Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
happy to be
Superintendent.
I'm happy to be skipped, you know?
No, you're not.
Oh,
Right.
It's true. You already know me pretty well. So just a few things, and I know I don't mean to steal the students' thunders, but Brett's one of the busiest people in the district right now with over 331 students out for spring sports. So really high level of turnout. We're really excited about that. We know when kids are engaged in athletics, there's just benefits across the board. So we're really happy to see our numbers are coming back from COVID. So we're excited about that. Tia's favorite season is here. It's not pumpkin spice, it's audit. So the auditors have made contact. Sean will be involved, but Chad will be representing the board at our initial contact, and then Rita will be sitting part as the entry meeting too. So that will start here and participating in the last audit. It went all the way till August and that clean audit. And really hard to get that clean audit. So I'm confident that it will be the same here as well. Velma sent an email out to the board about a possible operating protocol meeting on March 7th from I don't know if it's been established or not. I think we're waiting for a response from the board.
She sent me.
She sent a survey out asking if you're available. Yeah, so if you could just respond to Velma's email, if we can get all 5 board members, we'll try to make that meeting happen on March 7th. So I would really appreciate that. Just thanks to Shannon for sitting on the 221 facilities meeting. I thought it was a really great meeting, really informative. We probably have 3 more meetings and then a draft long-range facility plan will be presented to the board. That long-range facility plan it's been crucial to identifying our facilities needs. It was key in our identifying what our bond would be in 2016, and then some of those other short-range projects such as the building you're in right now. If anyone wants a tour afterwards, I would be happily give anybody a tour of this building, but that was a result of our facilities work. So we're happy that that's happening. Our crisis team met 2 weeks ago, and we are in the process of starting to collect SRO data on the type of interactions they're having with students, the activity and their responses that they're having within our schools. We're hoping to have a full report to the board on our SROs, what they're doing at the end of March. QMS visitation. So we have a visitation on Friday at QMS from 10:30 to noon. So I'm really excited to get into UMass and to see some of the evidence and some of the activities that was presented in our social studies and science will be able to consider those classrooms as well. And then lastly, and I think what I'm most excited about this Friday, fourth grade field trip, spaghetti feed. If you haven't bought your tickets, please do so. You can buy them at the door. You can buy them at Pita Pit. They're selling them at Pita Pit. So if you want your ticket there, you can give them at Pita Pit. It's not an advertisement. But it really is remarkable that a lot of our students and people take opportunities to go to Seattle for granted. For some of our students, the first time they ever crossed the Vantage Bridge is a part of this field trip. The first time, if you've ever been, watching our kids' eyes light up when they go downtown Seattle, we go through I-5. It really is such a amazing experience, and the way that our community has supported it, it's just been absolutely equally amazing. So that is this Friday, starts at 5 o'clock. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, you want to start?
Sports or spring sports are starting up this week. The four sports that are main are going to be tennis, track and field, and soccer and golf.
And then we do have the upcoming play, the Addams Family. I'm excited for that. And I think that's about it. I haven't heard much besides.
I think those are the two main things.
Yeah. I haven't been at school recently because of the scholarship thing as a senior, but yeah.
You don't admit that in a public meeting. You
I don't have any especially not in front of our assistant principal.
Working
Okay, board leadership and development.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I was gonna go ahead and give a little bit of, just to include you in on how the meeting went for with Dan Tour and the security conversation.
Oh, sure.
Is Diana on?
I have not seen, let me check one more time. Oh wait, she is now.
It was just more of a, I just wanted to address the whole security meeting that we had. So it was really great. It was really great. We had Chief Green was there and Captain Trujillo was there and Dan and Rita and Nick and myself and Brian from the Forge. Andy, sorry. We're all on the same page now, right? And that was kind of the goal of our meeting, was really just to get on the same page. And it's not that we never not wanted to hear Dan's report. We definitely wanted to hear Dan's report. It was more of the taking the right channels to get us to where we want to go. We definitely see a need. We definitely don't want our SROs to be burned out and feeling like they're not filling those gaps for us. And so I feel like we really made great progress in the meeting, and we have a plan moving forward. As a board member, I want to make sure we're using the right channels. And so for us, the next step would be to get the crisis team on board with Mr. Garza and the administration for the middle school and high school, and make sure that they're on board and aware of what Mr. Couture can offer, and what if they have different ideas than what we even had in our meeting. So that's kind of the direction we're going in next. And hopefully by the end of maybe April, May-ish, we'll have a little bit more. And at that point, okay, it'll be brought to the board and then we can approve something, right? So making sure those channels are taken and that all the right people are on board with what, yeah, let's do this. It's not that we don't want to do this, we're just gonna do it right. So that's kind of where I feel like I wanted to give a briefing on how the security is happening for the school. Good.
The update. Also, for those of you who are interested, at our last meeting, we had 90 minutes, maybe more than 90 minutes of looking at our security plan for the schools, which was incredibly comprehensive and very well reported. So it was DJ presented that to us. So I recommend you look at that. The other thing I just wanted to let board members know, they probably never knows this, but there was a regional meeting, which I know you haven't attended yet. Regional meeting for our director area is on May 1st. So that meeting brings together all of the school directors and superintendents from our whole region, all the way from Moses Lake, clear up, through here, all the way up to Wenatchee, clear up to Tabasco, believe it or not. It's a really great time to talk with other board members in the region. It's standard program, and it's in Ephrata. this year. I think we hosted last year maybe, or was it last
2
year,
years
the year
ago.
before?
We're in Bridgeport last year.
It rotates between, but it's a really nice time to meet some of your key members around. That's all.
We'll make sure that board members that you get registered for it and you can incorporate it.
Okay, policy review. Does anybody have any more questions or discussion about them? Can we just move on?
If there's any, it's policy, so there's no, yeah, it's just a procedure.
Do any of you have questions about the first reading? And then the second reading? Does anyone have questions regarding the second reading? Do I have a motion then to adopt the second reading?
Make a motion to adopt the second reading.
I have a motion from Shannon. And I have a second. All in favor? Anyone opposed?
Good.
Who was that? Oh.
Proof of life.
Okay, then the motion carries. Any unfinished business? Does none. New business? None. I think we've managed that. So the meeting's adjourned as far as I'm concerned. I really thank all of you for your input. For here. Please continue.
Thank you.
Bye.